It's Tuesday. As I look up at the window, the weather looks beautiful, nice blue skies, and we're lucky to all be taking such an incredibly chilled out lunch break today with two lovely characters who I can't wait to jump into conversation with. Hello, welcome to Let's Do Lunch, by the way, if you're out there. Make sure you hit subscribe on the Digital Beans YouTube channel because we have loads of these coming up and loads of amazing guests just around the corner too. But on today's show, so lucky to be joined by Jane Ferre. Jane, is that how you say your second name?
No, it's not. It's should you've got the accent, yeah, because I put it in. It's Ferre if we're getting all
Ferre.
about it.
Maybe
we can go with Ferre.
we'll have to do a lesson on your name a little bit later on just to get me and Stuart saying it over again. You might even have a new ringtone by the end of it. Jane is an executive coach and business mentor. She also works with senior leaders to navigate their way around issues that they face in their day-to-day working lives. Jane, thank you for coming on today and helping me around my first issue of today, which is your second name. Thank you for being here. I saw you was on a live just before joining the show.
I was giving it some. I was giving a big thumbs up for the show. So hopefully there'll be lots of people watching over on YouTube.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for coming on as well. We're going to jump into a little bit about what you do in a minute in a lot more detail. Also, I want to say hello to someone who, if you're within the Kent business landscape, you'll probably know this face quite well. Stuart, got no problems with saying his second name, I hope. Tanton is the director of the Kent Foundation, who offer business support services free of charge to aid business growth in Kent, involved with getting a lot of entrepreneurial businesses off the ground as well. Stuart, thank you for coming on. And how is everyone, I suppose?
We're well. Thank you very much, Ben. Yeah, busy. We're having a little bit of a sort of, we've been living in constantly changing times, haven't we? So we're constantly changing. So, but everyone is really well. The team are busy working away, and it's all good.
Yeah, can't wait to catch up a little bit more about what the businesses are up to and what the mentors are up to as well in just a moment. Digital Beans and the Kent Foundation have done a lot of work together in the past. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would have probably have seen each other multiple times over the last 13 weeks, but we actually haven't seen each other at all. So it's going to be good to have a little catch up. But first things first, on the show today, as ever, towards the end of the show, we've got your 90-second tip. Our account manager, Roxana, is going to be demonstrating how you can check what sort of budget you would need to run Facebook ads. Do you know that conversation all the time? How much money do I need to have to spend on social media and get results? Well, Roxana's going to try and help answer that question a little bit later on. But first of all, let's start off the conversation. If you have a question for our guests, I'll ask it before the end of today's show at Digital Beans UK if you want to get involved, or just send us a message in the chat on YouTube. But first of all, Jane, I want to come over to you. Tell us a little bit about what you do as a coach and a mentor.
So it's interesting, actually, because I've had a little bit of a pivot in the last few months. It was kind of something I was thinking about doing, and then it's almost, with everything that's happened, it's just a no-brainer, as the kids would say. So in my previous life, what I would do is actually kind of partner with senior leaders to think about how they just almost to give them some thinking time to think about how they kind of navigate their way around some of the issues they got in their business, because it's really lonely at the top. It's hard when you're running a business because you can't always speak to everybody about all the issues. So having someone like me to kind of work with gives you the opportunity to just kind of bounce some ideas around before, as part of the kind of business process. What I've done recently is I've pivoted into helping HR people in particular to put themselves first. So right now, it's the people who are under the cosh are HR people, legal people, finance people. Those are the ones who are working together to figure out what the heck is going on here. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear. Sometimes I might. Apologies. So it's actually helping HR people to put themselves first, to think about, actually, I'm going to find a different role here for me because this is not the role that I want to do. So I'm working with people a lot to figure out what's their next career move right now. So it's a little bit of a twist, but it's something that is people are in dire need of, for sure.
It's quite interesting. I was on a networking group the other day, and I can't really go into much details about what this HR person is dealing with. But even stuff like in the past that you would have seen as sort of like banter and something that wouldn't affect someone in a job role. I think somebody I don't know in what context this was, and I might get this story completely wrong, but someone licked a phone.
Right.
And now that's a big no-no. Like, you can't be doing stuff like that. And I don't know why anyone would do that anyway, but still someone did.
Yeah.
These new procedures and processes and sort of newfound rules that are in place, they're just going to be a headache for people in HR, aren't they? And as you say, something that you're pivoting and changing into is to help those people.
Yeah. I think where HR people struggle is they struggle to articulate or qualify the work that they do in terms of driving the business forward. So there's almost two streams of HR. There's the what I call the transactional. So that's the stuff that impacts you as an employee. It's, do you get paid? Have you got your benefits? Does your salary land in your bank account every month? And have you got training and all that kind of stuff? There's the other bit, what I call the transformational bit of HR, which is like, actually now everybody is coming back into the offices or not. How is that going to look? How are we going to facilitate people working at home? There's a lot more kind of transformational work, and HR people struggle to put that into kind of how are we growing revenues, mitigating risk, or reducing cost. So I help them to do that so that they can set themselves up to get their next role.
And obviously, from a business coach point of view, you mentioned that you was working a lot with senior leaders. Why was it important for you to now pivot a little bit? Why did that opportunity come to light? How did you see that opportunity come to light to change what you do ever so slightly?
I think that's what people were coming to me for. So it's almost that we'd started to have conversations. Yeah, it's the demand, and I experienced redundancy twice in 1 year myself. So two were very, very different experiences. So the first one was a voluntary experience, voluntary redundancy. I'd been working at British Airways, also in the news right now, for almost 20 years. It was a long, drawn-out consultation process that ended up with me being on garden leave for a while. Left there in the March, started a new job in the May, and by Christmas, like 2 weeks before Christmas, I got an email inviting me to come and discuss my future employment, which, as an HR person, I know that means one thing: there is no future employment. So I had two redundancies within 1 year. One was very slow, drawn out, convoluted. The other one was like ripping off a plaster. And I've kind of taken both of my experiences of that, and then being in the job market myself, and a lot of career coaches, if you want to put a label on it, haven't had those experiences and are not able to. It's almost like I bring something different to my clients because I get where they're coming from. I get what they're going through. Yeah.
And in terms of what you do day to day, obviously being asked questions as a mentor and a coach is pretty standard for your job. That's what you do. You try to supply ways, you try to supply support and methods.
Yeah.
So how have those questions been different in the last 12, 13 weeks as to what they were like before?
I think there's a few things happening in the marketplace. So a lot of people are either on furlough or they're working from home. That kind of seems to be the two big things. A lot of people who are on furlough are, and my husband included, he is at home self-isolating, he says, or not going out. They're kind of got used to being at home. They're like, why was I getting up at 6 o'clock every day, getting on a packed train to go and sit in an office, eat pret-a-manger lunch, and then get on that sweaty, crowded train that would be cancelled or there was a strike, and then come home? So there's a lot of kind of moments, both for people who are furloughed and now people who are working at home, thinking, actually, I can do this differently. We have proven that we don't all have to traipse like lemmings to the same place for 8 hours a day and then all traipse back at the same time every day. We can do things a little bit differently. And I think this time has given people space to actually think about what I was doing. People get on this like treadmill, and I was guilty of it myself. You sort of do the next job and you get a promotion and a promotion and a promotion, and suddenly you've gone, what? You kind of on this, top of the ladder or wherever you are, and you're going like, this isn't what I kind of planned, and it's not what I wanted, and there's got to be something different. And we're living so much longer, and it's like, I'm 45 or I'm 52, and it's like, I'm going to be alive for another 30 years, and this is not how I want my life to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought processes going on at the moment, isn't there? And people sort of looking at their long-term and short-term goals and how they can sort of disrupt that or even impact that too. I've definitely seen some of those stories on social media. You see them quite regularly on the timeline. I mean, Stuart, similar question to you. The work the Kent Foundation do to help small businesses. Have the questions your mentors get asked changed at all during this outbreak?
Yeah, I think there's. We was discussing this as a team earlier, actually, and I think we've provided hopefully a very supportive sort of environment for people who have been affected personally, and I think a lot more personal conversations have sort of gone about well-being. You know, how they getting on? Are they you know, are they looking at sort of new ways of doing things, obviously, but yeah, I would say just very quickly in response to that, the sort of probably more personal conversations, just checking in, making sure that people are out. I know all of our volunteers, we've got over 100 volunteers, where they've reached out. I think it's, you know, genuinely sort of just making sure that people are sort of okay. We did a survey a little while back, and you know, 75% of those businesses that sort of came back to us had seen, you know, they're only probably bringing in something like 30% of the revenue of what they predicted there would be. So it had a huge sort of effect, and that's, you know, these are people. So yeah, I think it's gone. You know, our service has very much been about supporting the individuals, those business owners. You know, yeah, we're an organisation to sort of grow businesses, but there's people behind those really sort of struggling with the sort of challenges. And I think our mentors really stepped up with just sort of checking in on them on that personal level.
I think that's really important, actually, Stuart. You hit on an amazing point there, because we live in a world where figures have become a really important thing. You know, whether you're looking at the daily totals for tests and positives and daily deaths, I think everyone's really obsessed with figures. And when it comes to people talking about the unemployment rate and people on furlough and how many jobs are going to be here, how many jobs are going to be here, how big the economy is going to be here, we forget that for every 1%, or in some cases 0.1%, what people are talking about in terms of business, these are people. Like, there's people behind these businesses. You know, where a business gets impact, people do too. So what sort of advice, I don't know if you can go over any sort of scenarios really, because I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but what sort of advice of your mentors been pushing out to these business owners, which a lot of them, by the way, because you work with entrepreneurs, are quite young, aren't they?
Yeah, so to qualify for the sort of free support that we offer, you've got to be 30 years old and younger, and your business needs to be based in Kent. I think very often, actually, in the past, a lot of businesses, and I'm sure Jane will sort of will have experienced this as well. So many people in business, they don't have enough time to work on the business. They're always so busy within it, dealing with the sort of day-to-day issues. And certainly this period of that we've been through has been an opportunity. So for people to actually start looking at what their business is, how it can adapt. Jane's already sort of mentioned the pivot. What is their business going to look like in the future? Planning for it. With in our new monthly newsletter, I write a little bit of a blurb. And this month was very much about, startups have a particular sort of advantage because they don't have a set of rules that a large organisation might have. So they can do what they like. If the business is going to change, and they can be okay about it, they should be okay about that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with changing the direction of a business. So I think the conversations that have been going on have been very much about how we adapt to this, the climate, and equally what the future might look like. And there's still so many question marks over that, but how that business or that business person can be better, prepared for the next stage of whatever comes.
Yeah, and to be honest, you talking there, about the advantages as well. Like we've sat here as a company, and we've turned around and gone, well, actually, what can we do to make this time productive? What can we do to make sure that actually, if this ever happens again, it either can't hit us as hard, or we've got something in place so hopefully it won't hit us as hard, or B, what can we do to help people out there who are seriously struggling. I mean, Jane, I'll come back over to you quickly on that, because we were talking a little bit about the mental health side of things when it comes to business owners and employees. Surely they're conversations you're having with HR executives, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been working with a couple of businesses, and they're doing. I think there's this really fine line, because they're doing a lot of stuff which is kind of connecting as fun. So I've heard about, the organization that sends, a pack of beer to everybody, and then, on Friday at 4:30, because let's not take the mickey with end of day, we're all going to get together on a Zoom thing and have a beer and chat, or let's have a pub quiz. So people are doing different things, and it's about that kind of, how do you stay connected? There's also a flip, because we keep hearing this thing of Zoom fatigue now as well. So it's like, I'm part of a couple of other groups outside, and I run my business like this. I've ran my business sitting on a desk looking into a computer for the last few years. So this is not new to me. But what is new to me is, like, in the evening, there's all the other like digital stuff as well. And I've actually got to the point where I'm like, I can't do another Zoom meeting, I can't do another pub quiz. I've got one every Saturday, but it's like, I'm not going to that event. I'm not going to that event. So it's about being, there's a bit about, you need to know yourself. And if you can feel that it's becoming a chore, it's actually having the courage to go, actually, I'm not going to participate in that. And you don't have to give a reason. But it is this balance between, you need to be keeping in touch with people, and understanding when it's too much for them. Other things people do is like a daily what would be a daily stand-up. So to use kind of Scrum or Agile terminology, it's 10 minutes at the beginning of every day, just like, what is it what is it you're working on, and just setting up those parameters of how you talk to one another, and when you're available and when you're not available. So you have to put like different boundaries in place. I think that's really important. How do you communicate? Is it, are you via Slack, email? Is it phone call? Because what people are missing, what's really interesting that people are missing, is the water cooler moment. So that, or I call it the drive-by, the one that, I've got this quick, can I just ask you a quick question? Which is always great, because it helps you kind of unlock your project, but it usually disturbs the other person. But people are missing that kind of interaction. So it's like, how do you recreate that interaction without creating another thing that's like, I've now got to manage this other thing? So it's a really fine line, and it's just trial and error. See what works for you, what works for your team, and keep trying stuff and having the courage to say, that's not working for me.
I do think, like, in the whole landscape of things, all this has done, all the pandemic has done as well, is stirred up questions for businesses that are being active, as in working from home. How does that work? Well, it's worked successfully, but as a business owner, do I still feel comfortable allowing my team to work from home on a completely flexible basis? Maybe not, but that isn't down to trust. That's also down to the fact that, business owners have bills to pay on properties, whether people are in it or not. Yeah. So I think that's forgotten as well sometimes when it comes to the working from home aspect. But also, as you say there about the fatigue, I think it's working from home is brilliant when it comes to me being able to be around my newborn at times that potentially I wouldn't have been able to. But it's also difficult for me to switch off as a dad, and then it's difficult for me to switch off as an employee as well. So it affects everyone in those situations. And I think that integration back into office as well is going to be, for all businesses, so difficult to handle, especially if you work in a small business. Sorry, Jane.
It's interesting, because we all think, so I think there's a certain demographic of people that all go, oh, I'll just set up I've got my spare bedroom, and I'll set up my home office in my spare bedroom.
Or banished to the cupboard like Stuart's been.
I can give you a picture. I can give you a view if you want, but carry on.
Sorry, Jane.
I was talking to somebody from one of the government departments, and I think it was the Treasury, and they said the average age of their employees is 27. And if you're a 27-year-old living and working in London, you're probably living in some very small studio flat that doesn't have, a garden office or a spare bedroom for an office. So I think there's a certain demographic of people that have gone, oh, I quite like this. I haven't used this room for years, and it's great. And we're kind of forgetting about those people who are sitting on their bed having a meeting, because that's the only space that they have that they can use. So I think there's certain people who are like, this is great, and there's other people who are like, I can't wait to get back in because this is my bedroom, and we've now completely blurred the lines between work and home, which is
hello, I'm over here. Look at this. Look at this fancy studio.
Yeah. But can you imagine if that was you were in a shared house? So you know, think back to your kind of uni days. That's your only personal space, and now it's your workspace as well. And you can't go out. You know, when we were on like proper lockdown, it's a little bit more flexible now, but you can only go out of there, you know, for an hour a day. It's like, you know, people are describing it as like I'm literally in prison.
Yeah,
like, not obviously like being in prison, but you know.
I do completely agree with you. I think those lines are so blurred at the moment, and it's really, really difficult because my surroundings does not. If I'm on a really important meeting with a really high, let's say for instance, I'm on an important call, pitching to a really high-end client about our services, which would be a massive coup for us as a business. This background here doesn't represent how professional our company is or how professional I am. This is just the only place I can work from. And you're right, it's difficult not to have those lines blurred. Can I quickly say hello to Danny, by the way, who's watching? Hello to everyone else who's watching too. Please make sure you hit subscribe. In a bit, Roxana, one of our account managers, is going to be here with a 90-second tip demonstrating how you can check what sort of budget you would need to run some Facebook ads. That blurred line, again, talking about those, always around how much money do I need to spend if I'm going to go on social? Well, we'll try and see if we can answer some of those questions for you. Before we move on to that, a few more questions for you guys. Stuart, just want to come over to you about Kent Business and the businesses you're working with, some of the amazing businesses you're supporting and entrepreneurs out there as well. Do you have some success stories of what some businesses have done during this time? Do you have any sort of like highlights of stuff that you've seen within the Kent business community?
I'm not going to pick one out because I don't think it's. Yeah, there are. In our survey, you know, there is a small percentage of businesses that have actually done really well out of this. Predominantly in the digital services. That's not going to surprise anybody. But there have been. But what we've seen behind the scenes, and it sort of follows on from what we were talking about a little while back. What we've seen how these businesses are developing, how they're changing, how they're evolving, how they're looking a lot more to the much more future focused than just for the now. I think that's only a good thing. I think a lot of businesses are going to come out so much stronger. They've taken a hit. It is painful at the moment, and I've no doubt it's going to be for a little while, you know, for many. But I think it's quite exciting to sort of see how people have responded to it, how people are growing as business people, understanding their wanting to understand their industries a lot more. They've got certain amount of time to be able to do that. There's, you know, it depends what sort of sector, I guess. There's real frustrations within the sort of hospitality sort of businesses, for example, because they can't open their doors literally. But you know, I think the major success, I think, is that they've stayed connected. They've sort of knuckled down. They are adapting. They continuously are, and sort of, you know, ready to sort of either, if they haven't done already, relaunch. You know, what they've sort of been planning and working towards.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart hit on it slightly there, Jane. Do you think it's too early to judge whether businesses have sort of embraced or sort of done well coming out the back of lockdown? Or do you think that we're already seeing signs? Because obviously some, for instance, high street businesses are starting to make that move onto digital. Some live event companies are already announcing driving gigs. So are we sort of still waiting to see whether we can judge businesses on the effects of the pandemic?
I think we're going to judge the businesses on their on how quickly they're responding. So if I use my husband's business, he's an employee. They were sent home before Boris told us all to go home. So they literally go home, and they have now ceased their lease. I don't know what the deal is, but they have now gone, actually, we're not going to have this office anymore. And they had staggered times for them to come and get their stuff, and they're going to be working from home. So my kind of point to him, that's been our point for a long time, is we could now live anywhere in the world because you can now work anywhere in the world. So that organization, I think, is kind of ahead of its time. I think there are other organizations that are a bit more slow. So I think it really depends. I think those organizations that are responding quicker are going to be the ones who stay, because they're just able to adapt to the market. There's so many. I don't know if any of you listen to Gary Vee. I was listening to a couple of his stuff he was doing at the beginning of lockdown. He was talking about things like restaurants, and he was saying what they need to be doing now is and again, it's this connection thing. So it's like, talk me through, get the chef on a TikTok or something, and it's like, make your signature dish. Why is this important to you? Walk around the restaurant, tell me why you chose these chairs. What does this say about you? So you're keeping that connection with customers and getting them excited about coming back. And then also, because there's almost this sort of inherent thing about, because you can see kind of what they're going through, they'll be first on a customer's list. There's a restaurant close to us which is like, we can't wait to go back because they make the best sourdough pizzas ever. I know that's a really poncy thing to say, just said it, but it's like, we can't wait to go. That's the first restaurant on our list, and they've been doing just that. So it's this thing about, don't submarine as a business. So if you have not been able to operate, that's, you've not been able to operate, but actually don't submarine and disappear and then pop up 3 months later thinking everyone remembers who you are, because they don't. You've got to keep a presence in the marketplace.
Yeah, we said that as soon as this all happened, we done a video. I can't remember what it was on, but it was about brand engagement and engaging with your audience and utilizing your channels has never been so important than now. So yeah, completely agree with that. Stuart, over lockdown, I've become obsessed with Shark Tank. Like, absolutely obsessed. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like Dragon's Den, but the American version.
US version, right?
Yeah, it's so good. And I was sat there the other day watching it, thinking to myself, these businesses who were on Shark Tank 5, 6, 7 years ago, the businesses on Dragon Den 5, 6 years ago, I'm just wondering if in the future we're going to see less and less entrepreneurs because of the way that the market has sort of taken that tumble and the way the economy sort of been hurt. So I suppose the question I've got for you, Stuart, is, is there more help now for entrepreneurs who want to start out their own business, or is there less help now because of everything that's been going on?
Right. Okay. I think there's plenty of support out there. I think let's answer your first point that you made there. I think with situations like we've been through with this pandemic, actually you get I think we'll see an explosion of new businesses coming out of it. I think, where, as Jane said, if the organisations that don't succeed will be the slow ones, but I've no doubt there'll be very sort of smart, people who think quick on their feet within those organisations, who think, well, if this isn't going to work for them, I can do something myself. And so we as an organisation are very much gearing up for an explosion, sort of a bit more an increase in startups later on in the year. I don't think they're necessarily going to be coming from a good place, in the sense that they may have recently, they've may been made redundant, and it's a needs must sort of basis. But that's how it happens sometimes. And my own experience of starting my own business was that being made redundant, kick up the backside, go off and do something for myself. So I think we're expecting a sort of to sort of see a lot of new businesses started later on in the year, and we're gearing up to do that. And we're not the only organisation around, and there's individuals out there like Jane who provide support, and other sort of wider organisations. So I suppose the perversity of it is, with these sort of with the pandemic, is there could be a real growth and need for these types of services.
Definitely, and especially if they're adapted digitally as well, because as we all know, the digital landscape is only going to get wider. Also, while Stuart's here, can I just quickly say just a couple of businesses I want to point out, just because I've seen them on my timeline. It's just come to head, who I believe have worked with the Kent Foundation in the past. The Dunk Cookies team, massive congratulations to those guys who have just got their first cookie factory. From what I've seen, amazing work, incredible success. So well done to those guys, and also who we've both worked with.
That Ben. So Annabelle, I literally had an email from her this morning. Just amazing. So I don't think she's even been trading 12 months, and to sort of move from the kitchen table to, I think in a few weeks' time she'll be opening the doors to her new factory. It's just a massive achievement for her. I think you might be aware she won one of our startup awards at the beginning of the year for what she'd really achieved, and then the way she really sort of like embraced this current sort of situation and sort of turned it for herself is just a fantastic achievement. So well done from us.
Also, a massive well done. She's either on the verge or she just has launched a whole load of new products as well. Lauren at the Milky Tea Co as well, who I know have been working non-stop during the pandemic as well. So well done to just a couple of shout outs to businesses who are just expanding and getting bigger in Kent. And it's great to see them achieving great things. So just want to say well done to those guys. And Stuart, well done to you guys as well with the work you're doing at the Kent Foundation. Keep it up. You know where we are. Where can people find you and more information out about Kent Foundation? Yeah.
So website, people can find us at kentfoundation.org. On there is all our contact details. I'm more than happy to share stuff through you, Ben, as well, like direct sort of lines and stuff like that. So we are very much gearing up to grow our services. We know over the last few years we've seen a massive increase in the need for our service. And in a couple of years' time, we'll be sort of, we need to be prepared for a lot more numbers of businesses that we are supporting now. I guess the challenge for us as a small charity is to sort of maintain this and keep it going. It is free support that we provide, and we've really sort of benefited from the support of the Kent business community up till now. And I know it's a tough time out there for everybody, but we need to sort of keep on that support to sort of keep supporting our economy through these new businesses that are starting and making sure that they thrive. We've got a great sort of record of achievement for the sort of success rate of these businesses. Nationally, statistically, there's always a sort of quite a big sort of drop off of businesses that start and fail, unfortunately, after a sort of period of time. We have a pretty good sort of success rate, and it is down to the fact that if you've got someone working alongside you, you've got that sort of support around you and the right people, it's so much more likely to succeed. Different mindset, different sort of approaches only add value to your business, and the fact that the Kent business community just give their time free to sort of support and provide the advice and information that these businesses need is great. So
and it's a great community. It's a great community as well, and the mentors know what they're talking about as well. Our MD Pip is on the board there and is one of the mentors as well. So thank you, Stuart, for coming on. And also, really looking forward to the next 12 months at the Kent Foundation. I know you was on the cusp of launching a new event as well, so hopefully we'll see that come to fruition. And I know obviously loads of content coming up as well. So we'll keep an eye out, Stuart. Thank you for that. Oh,
thank you.
So cheers.
I was just going to say we've had to adapt to these situations as well. We were on the back foot like everybody else, so it's been a real journey for us alongside the businesses that we're working with to make sure it's right. And I think the fact that it has worked is probably because we've been working alongside them to make it work. So we've learned as much from them as we have tried to support ourselves, to be honest. So
and I suppose that's the same with you as well, Jane. I mean, you're working close with a lot of businesses at the moment with the mentoring, the coaching. So where can people find out more information about you?
So my website is janeferre.com. It's just my name. What I have done, which is I've just put a link in the comments. I'm running a free 5-day challenge that starts on the 6th of July, Monday the 6th of July. And it's a free 5-day challenge aimed at sort of furlough professionals who are expecting redundancies. So it's how can they start to prepare for the inevitable by just really figuring out where their strengths fit in today's job market. So it's really the kind of the foundation stuff that you do before a job hunt, and then there's the opportunity if people at the end of that challenge want to work with me, then they can do. If people want to work with me one-on-one, then all the details are on my website, janeferre.com.
Jane Ferre. There we go. Smashed it. I've learned it. Jane, thank you so much for coming on. It's been brilliant chatting to you both. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button anyway. And also make sure you keep an eye out for our next show on Thursday. We'll be joined again by 2 great guests. But right now it's time to bring in one of our account managers, Roxana. See, that was a good intro.
It was a good intro.
I was expecting a bit more than that. Got to be honest, I was expecting like
I'm
hands in the air.
I'm sorry. No, it was a really good intro.
Do you want to tell everyone how much you love that song and you've loved it since the first minute it came out?
I actually don't even want to mention it or don't even want to think about it. It doesn't exist for me. But that's the secret. If you hate it so much, you don't even. It's not. What's the point?
No, there's no point in even talking about it. Roxana, thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing today's 90 second tip. It's exciting, this one. So obviously people always ask that question, don't they? What sort of money do I need to run ads? And obviously we're gonna. Is that the bane of your job? Like, do you get that question constantly?
We get that question most of the time, yes, especially when you get new clients coming in, or even any general inquiries. To be fair, the first question would be, how much would it cost me? And this is the thing that would like most people, they would say, well, it depends on the budget. And you're thinking, but what if you don't answer this question for people who don't necessarily have a budget? They don't have a plan. Okay, this is my money. This is how much I want to invest in this platform. I've also done a research on for this query in particular to see how many searches there are, and they're like over 2,000 searches monthly related to how much Facebook ads cost. So it's still a hot topic. Just in case content creators want to jump on this one, that's your topic for the month.
This is a one to achieve some organic search.
Exactly.
So when it comes
to clarify, there isn't a fixed cost. That's for sure.
Of course, it depends what you're saying.
There's so many other factors, and you need to take them, like tick the box for all of them, and then you can get a cost.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. I'm really interested in it. Hopefully the screen share is going to work today, because I don't know what I'm going to do if the screen share doesn't work today. So do you want to share your screen with me, and I'm going to get the timer up now. So in 90 seconds, Roxana is going to help us and demonstrate how you can check what sort of budget you'd need to run. Are we focusing on Facebook ads, Roxana?
Yes, we're doing Facebook ads, one thing at a time.
Let's not run before we can walk.
But no, honestly, it applies to any sort of platform, to be fair. It's in general, online advertising is a bidding business. So that's why I'm saying it depends on so many factors. But if you want to check, like to get an estimated budget, how much money you could spend, this is what I'm going to show you now, how you can do that manually without going on search engines and without doing any more searches.
We don't need to do that. Right. Okay, cool.
Okay,
right.
Let me try to do the screen share.
I've got 90 seconds on the clock. We do this really technical. I'll get it on my phone and press it.
Okay, let me see. Does it work?
Yes, there we go.
Wow.
Look, there's us. Hello.
I can't believe this.
Right, okay, cool. So many people are going to be freaked out by that. They're going to be like, whoa, I can see them 5 times. Right, here we go. Right, I've got 9 seconds of the clock. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. Go on, Roxana. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
So you go into your business manager account, and the first thing, obviously you're not going to see anything here, but the first thing you click on create, you create your campaign. I'm going to maximize this. I'll give you the example, the traffic example. This way you should choose your objective. Just for the sake of doing the research, I'm not going to add any details about the name of the campaign or the name of the ad set or anything. So we're choosing traffic as an objective. We click continue. And this is the first bit. You check these, and then you go into the ad set, and into the ad set, that's the fun bit. Obviously, you probably have noticed on the right-hand side, you already have an estimated daily results. The daily budget is automatic to 20. So that's where you can put as much money as you want. Now, where the estimated daily results will change is in this section where you choose your audience. So I'm going to just leave it for UK. But obviously, you can change the location. You can change the demographics. Into detail targeting, I'm just going to give you an example. Speaking of done cookies, baking. You perhaps want to choose people who are interested in baking. You select that, and obviously for £20 you could get 68 to 196 clicks per day. If you want to lower your budget and just get another estimate, you can do so.
And that is that was right on 90 seconds. Look at that. That was a proper 90-second tip. So sorry, just to go back into Ad Manager. So obviously this is mainly Facebook. So you obviously go to your Business Manager account. You go to create a new campaign. You set up a new campaign, and then it's all about editing that new ad set, right? To try and to try and find the well, let's say the best results for your buck, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not affected by what you put in the. Oh, right. So if you do change the money, it changes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. There we go.
That's what I'm saying. You could definitely change. For example, you can't afford £5 a day. You go for £2 a day.
And that's what you'll get, 7 to
and
20.
that's where you get. Yes. Exactly.
Oh, okay, and reach there as well. And obviously you put in your. But then obviously the more you refine that custom audience bit, the more refined your campaign goes, right?
Definitely. But that's just to give anyone an understanding of. You can go into it and manually search for it and figure out based on your target audience how much money you would need for your to reach your objective and your main goal.
And it's also worth saying to anyone out there who's looking to sell a product, a link click doesn't necessarily mean a sale.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah, the more you can refine that audience to match your customer, the better chance you've got for that link click to turn into a customer.
You should take into consideration the fact that also in this section, the creative section, that is also another factor that can help you with driving sales and conversions as well. But that can be for another tip, a 90-second tip.
Hey, we look forward to that one, of course. And it goes back to that age-old thing. You know, you can have a £2 a budget a day, and yes, we can get you link clicks and we can get you reach, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a consumer. It's all done on averages, and obviously we've got a better chance of reaching if we reach a bigger audience with a bigger budget to get more sales, right? And that's the real end all of it all.
Exactly.
Amazing. That was a good tip. I never knew you could do that for business. I'm so out of date, I tell you. Like, I didn't even know Business Manager looks like that now. It's been ages since I've run a proper ad campaign.
Yeah, they've updated everything now, so
it's all fancy Facebook, eh? Roxana, thank you for that. Thank you for coming on.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you for you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I shall be back on Thursday. I think it's Josh doing the 90-second tip on Thursday. And we have a couple of great guests as well who are going to be on this show. The exhibition guy, he has a big account on Twitter, is going to be here chatting to us. And also, he's a famous son, Roxana. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. We're going to be chatting to him on this show. Who?
Is that it?
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. It's just going to be a teaser. It's a clanger. We're going to be talking to him on this show, and he's involved in the video world. We're going to chat to him on Thursday. I'll speak to you guys then. Hit that subscribe button. For now, bye-bye, guys.